What's up guys, it's Chris Majestic, and today we're looking at yet another 4K projector, but this one has a few tricks up its sleeve, so stay tuned. So earlier this year at CES, Optoma revealed two new 4K projectors, the Optoma UHD50 and the UHD51A. So just like the other budget 4K projectors that have come out this year, these use pixel shifting to display a true 4K image with 8.3 million pixels on the screen. So what's the difference between the 50 and the 51A? Well, first let's start with the similarities. They're both 2400 lumens, they have the same contrast ratio, the same RGB color wheel, they both support HDR, and they both have an amazing throw ratio that allows them to produce a 100-inch screen from less than 9 feet away, making them the shortest throw 4K projectors we've seen so far. So you guys who've been looking for a 4K projector for smaller rooms are finally getting some love. So overall, the UHD50 and the 51A are nearly identical as far as specs, but the UHD51A is priced about $300 more than the 50, and that's because it has a few extra features. So the 51A supports 3D for you hardcore 3D fans out there. It also has pure motion or frame interpolation if you like the smooth motion effect. It has a built-in media player that allows you to play movies and pictures through its USB port, and it has Alexa voice support built into it, which explains the A in its name. So you're getting quite a bit for the extra $300, but aside from those few extra features, the image is going to look pretty much the same on both of these projectors. Now the UHD50 does have one feature that's missing on the 51A, and that's keystone correction. Now I'm not sure if this has something to do with the addition of 3D on the 51A, but keystone correction was also missing on the UHD60. Now thankfully all three models do have lens shift, which is very helpful, especially if you need to mount the screen lower than your projector. So today with me I have the UHD51A. So in the box you're going to get a nice and slim remote that's surprisingly not backlit. I'm not sure why they decided against the backlit remote. It also comes with a quick start guide with a QR code for you to download the Optoma Smart Projection app. And my box did include an Amazon Echo Dot, but this is a review model, so I don't think this is going to come with the retail units. You also get your manuals and other paperwork, a USB Wi-Fi adapter for your Alexa support, an HDMI cable, a fairly short power cord, and the projector itself. Now getting this projector out of the box, the first thing I noticed was that it's definitely much smaller than the UHD60, which is really nice considering how huge that thing is. And I have to say that I really do like the design of the 51A. The black color is a nice change from the norm, and it has a nice striped textured section on top of it that adds a nice touch. It's definitely a little on the heftier side at nearly 12 pounds, but to be fair, this thing has a lot of features built into it, so it's no surprise. The front has your lens with the focus ring mounted around it along with the IR sensor. The top has your menu buttons, power button, and another IR sensor. Over near the lens, you'll see your dial for vertical lens shift along with the zoom dial. The bottom has 3 adjustable feet to help you get it leveled on a coffee table. And the back of this thing is loaded with ports. You've got a network jack, an RS-232 port, a USB port labeled Alexa for the included USB Wi-Fi adapter, 2 HDCP 2.2 HDMI ports so you can actually connect 2 separate 4K signals instead of one, which is pretty awesome, a VGA port, a 12-volt trigger, audio input and output jacks, a USB 3.0 port for connecting a USB drive, a wireless display USB port, and an optical audio output. Now the first thing I noticed after turning this projector on is that it has a much different menu system than I'm used to seeing. Now it's not a complete smart TV system like a Roku TV or anything like that, but it does have your wireless settings, the media player, screen mirroring, Alexa integration settings, and the image settings. Alright, so how does the image on this projector look? Well, this thing produces an absolutely incredible image. I think this projector might actually be the sharpest of all the new 4K projectors that use this same DLP chip. Not only is it super sharp, but it has amazing color accuracy. The 6-segment color wheel makes for really bright and accurate colors with this projector, and to top it off, it has pretty good black levels as well. The black levels definitely seem better than the BenQ and ViewSonic projectors, even though they use the same chip. It also does a pretty good job of upscaling 1080p content as well, which is always nice to see since you might not always be watching native 4K content. So this projector has a bunch of picture modes, including cinema, HDR simulation, game, reference, and bright modes. I found that cinema mode has the best balance between brightness and color accuracy. Game mode is nice and balanced and looks pretty good, and it also gives better response time for gaming, which is also a plus. Now the HDR performance is about on par with other budget 4K projectors. It has 3 different HDR modes, including film, standard, and bright. And I found that film mode looks the best to me since it gives the best black levels. But overall, HDR on this projector does add a little pop to the image by boosting the color and giving it a bit more contrast, but it's definitely not on par with more expensive projectors or high-end TVs. The pure motion setting was enabled by default on this projector, but I personally don't like the soap opera effect that it creates, so I did end up turning it off. Now, pure motion does have a low, middle, and high setting, so you can tweak it to your liking if you want. Another interesting setting is the dynamic black setting. So dynamic black automatically adjusts the picture's brightness to give better contrast with certain content. And it does help slightly with black levels, but I'm not personally a big fan of it since I find it to be a bit too distracting when it adjusts the brightness. Now, when testing the 3D performance, I did run into some issues, so you do have to change the EDID mode from HDMI 2.0 to 1.4 before you can enable 3D. Once I changed that setting over, I was able to activate 3D, and it actually looks pretty good. Now, as far as sound goes, it does have 2 5-watt internal stereo speakers that provide plenty of sound for gaming or watching TV, even though I wouldn't recommend using them to watch a movie. So the setup process to get Alexa up and running on this projector was an absolute nightmare. I had a ton of issues with the included wireless adapter, and I spent a total of 3 hours trying to get it connected to my Wi-Fi. It took a whole lot of unplugging and plugging the adapter back in and rebooting the projector several times before I finally got it connected. Even after it was connected, I ran into issues trying to get it to generate the code that's needed for the Alexa setup. Now, Optima does give detailed instructions on how to set this up, but the setup process is not really intuitive, and I think it's way too complicated for the average user. So even though it's marketed as working with Alexa, it does actually also have support for Google Home as well. Now, I wasn't actually able to get the Google Assistant to work as it kept giving me an error message, so it's possible that it's not actually ready yet. Alexa, turn on living room.
Okay.
Alexa, change to HDMI 1 on living room.
Okay.
Alexa, increase volume on living room.
Okay.
Hey Google, tell Optima Smart Projection to turn off living room.
There is an underlying communication problem.
So voice control is a cool feature to have, but you can actually accomplish most of this with the Logitech Harmony Hub, which actually costs less than $100. And the Harmony Hub also lets you control other devices with your voice, so it's definitely worth checking out if you're looking for voice control. So this projector has some great features and amazing performance for its price. Aside from the issues I had setting up Alexa, I can only come up with one real negative thing about it, and that's that it still suffers from the same issue as all the other budget 4K projectors that use this new Texas Instruments DLP chip, and that's the halo or light border issue. Now, the better black levels on the UHD 50 and the 51A makes the border less noticeable, but it does still stand out, especially if you're using a smaller screen. But other than that one issue, I can definitely say that I'm super impressed with this projector. It has more features than any other projector at this price point, and it surpasses the competition in several areas. As far as whether or not you should buy the UHD 50 or the 51A, it really comes down to whether or not you need 3D, or if you need frame interpolation, or if you just want Alexa integration. Either way, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this is my favorite 4K projector for 2018, and it might actually even hold the crown as the best overall for the money. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this video. If you found it helpful, as always, go ahead and make sure you mash that like button for me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.